Alright, so we're going to continue the story of Joseph. So last week we saw Joseph's kind of rise to power, and remember his brothers come asking for grain, but there was only 10 of them. And then there's the whole issue where Simon ends up in jail, and then the 9 brothers go back, and his father's based and Jacob is all about selfish Jacob. And he's like, no, I don't care about Simon, you're not taking Benjamin with you, right? And then we had Reuben, who decided to step up, and he offered up his sons in exchange. Hey, if I take Benjamin with me and something happens to him, you can have my 2 sons. And Jacob's like, yeah, I'm not taking that deal, and we're not going to discuss this anymore. So if y'all thought y'all had family drama, here's Jacob. We're just not going to talk about it, and Simon's in jail down in Egypt.
Jacob and Reuben still aren't on the best footing.
Yeah. But Reuben offers up his sons. Okay, so then we're going to see a comparison of what happens and who steps up today. Okay, so the famine is getting worse. We're not exactly sure how much time has passed, probably a couple of months or so. And the famine's just getting worse and worse, and they're running out of food. They're running out of grain again. Okay, so let's pick up in chapter 43. Now the famine was severe in the land, and when they had eaten the grain that they had bought from Egypt, their father said to them, "Go again, buy us a little food." But Judah, okay, so this is Judah who steps up, said to him, "The man solemnly warned us, saying, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, you shall not see my face unless your brother is with you.' Israel said, 'Why do you treat me so badly as to tell the man that you had another brother?' They replied, 'The man questioned us carefully about ourselves and our kindred, saying, Is your father still alive? Do you have another brother?' What we told him was an answer to these questions. Could we in any way know that he would say, 'Bring your brother down'? And Judah said to Israel his father, 'Send the boy with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I will be a pledge of his safety. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. If we had not delayed, we would have now have returned twice.' Then their father Israel said to them, 'If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the choice fruits of the land in your bags and carry a present down to the man, a little balm and a little honey, gum, myrrh, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take double the money with you. Carry back with you the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take also your brother, and arise and go again to the man. May God Almighty grant you mercy before the man. May he send back your other brother and Benjamin. And as for me, if I am bereaved of my children, I am bereaved.' So the men took this present, and they took double the money with them, and Benjamin. They arose and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph." Okay, so the famine's getting worse. Jacob is now to the point where he doesn't have a choice anymore. He has got to send them back to Egypt to get more grain, okay, in order to survive this famine. And this time it's Judah that steps up, and he's not offering his children, he's offering himself as the sacrifice here, okay? They're trying to plead with Jacob to send Benjamin with them so that they can all survive. And what we find out here is that they have little ones, they have children, so they all have families that they are concerned about surviving this famine. It's not just about Jacob and Jacob surviving here. So we see a change in Judah from the previous chapter. Remember, he's the one that slept with his daughter-in-law, got pregnant. Okay, we saw all of that, and now we see Judah willing to sacrifice himself, willing to step up to his brothers and step up to his father and be the sacrifice. So Jacob eventually and reluctantly agrees to send Benjamin with them back down to Egypt, and he sends along this whole processional of gifts to kind of appease the people in Egypt. Because remember, he doesn't know that this is his son. He does not know that this is Joseph. So this is just a very important regal guy, and they have offended them by taking
So Israel doesn't know that Joseph is his son?
Correct. He doesn't know that it is Joseph.
Israel doesn't know that it is Joseph.
Yes.
And is that the son that, or the brother that he wants them to bring?
No, Benjamin is Joseph's younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were the children
Of Rachel.
Of
Yeah,
Rachel.
Rachel only has the 2 boys, and that's it. Okay. So this kind of reveals to us that this going down to Egypt really isn't about money. They have plenty of money. They're willing to give all these expensive gifts and give money. What they're lacking is the bread, is the food, the grain, okay? So they're still prospering in other ways. They're just running out of food. So let's find out what happens when they get down to Egypt. Verse 16. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Bring the men into the house and slaughter an animal and make ready, for the men are to dine with me at noon." The man did as Joseph told him and brought the men to Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought to Joseph's house, and they said, "It is because of the money which was replaced in our sacks the first time that we were brought in, that he may assault us and fall upon us to make us servants and seize our donkeys." So they went up to the steward of Joseph's house and spoke with him at the door of the house and said, "O my lord, we came down the first time to buy food, and when we came to the lodging place, we opened our sacks, and there was each man's money in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight. So we brought it again with us, and we have brought other money down with us to buy food. So we do not know who put our money in our sacks." And he replied, "Peace to you, do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has put treasure in your sacks for you. I received your money." Then he brought Simon out to them. And when the man had brought the men into Joseph's house and given them water, and they washed their feet, and when they had given their donkeys fodder, they prepared the present for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. When Joseph came home, they brought into the house to him the present that they had with them, and bowed down to him to the ground. And he inquired about their welfare and said, "Is your father well, the old man of whom you spoke? Is he still alive?" They said, "Your servant, our father, is well. He is still alive." And they bowed their heads and prostrated themselves. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your youngest brother of whom you spoke to me? God be gracious to you, my son." Then Joseph hurried out, for his compassion grew warm for his brothers, and he sought a place to weep. And he entered his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out, and controlling himself, he said, "Serve the food." They served him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at one another in amazement. Portions were taken to them from Joseph's table, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of the others. And they drank and they were merry with him. Okay, so the brothers get down to Egypt, and Joseph sees them coming, and Benjamin is with them, okay? And he welcomes them. He tells the steward of his house to go and get them and bring them to his house. And this terrifies them because they think that this is their last chance. Like, they're going to be slaughtered in the house. They're going to be put in jail. Something bad is going to happen because they've been kind of outed and brought away from all of the other people and everything. But when Joseph sees them, he's absolutely moved with compassion for them. He's seeing his dream come to fruition right there. They are bowed down with their faces in the dirt, and he's remembering the 11 sheaves of grain. And he's seeing his vision come true. But the first part of his vision, the second part, including the stars and the moon and the sun, hasn't happened yet. But he's remembering all of this, and he's going, "These are my brothers," okay? He has missed them now for almost 20 years, and then here they are again, and now Benjamin is with them, okay? So he returns Simon to them. We kind of wonder, what Simon has been up to in prison. We don't really know what's happened to him. Has he repented? Has he been sitting there in prison all alone without the influence of the others, regretting his choices, wondering if they're going to come back for him because he knows how much Jacob loves Benjamin, and will he trade Benjamin for his life? But Simon has finally returned to them, and they sit down for a meal, okay? And when Joseph first sees them, he's so moved, he has to excuse himself from the room, and he just absolutely breaks down. So we get to see the vulnerability of Joseph here. This man is an adult man who's in charge of an entire country, And he's so moved at seeing his brothers again and seeing Benjamin again that he has to leave the room to weep and to process all of these feelings that he's dealing with. Because remember, these were the same brothers that sold him into slavery, that wanted to murder him. And yet here they are asking for salvation from his hand to give him salvation. And then he asks, is my father still alive? Because he's not sure. When they left, they said, Jacob's still alive. But now that it's been time,
Do
he
they know
doesn't
that Joseph is their brother?
No,
Yeah.
at this point,
They don't
not
know that
yet.
it's Joseph.
Not
They
yet.
don't know that it's Joseph.
Right, because he keeps referring to them like, is your father,
Is
that
your
kind of
father
thing.
still alive?
Yeah.
And remember, he's sort of in disguise because he looks like an Egyptian at this point. He would have had his face painted, his head shaved, he would have been wearing a wig, he would have been wearing Egyptian clothing, so he's not standing up there as Joseph.
Right.
He's standing up there as an Egyptian.
Okay.
Yeah, so they don't recognize him, but he recognizes his brothers.
Now,
is
when
that
they
why
sit
they
down
didn't
to eat,
Be together?
Yes. Because he
so
would
the
have been.
Egyptians that were there still didn't sit with Joseph and eat.
Yes, correct. And it was
And that
considered
wasn't like, why is
an abomination. So they considered the Hebrews to be lower than humans. So they could not sit with them and eat with them. So they had to be physically separated while they ate.
Well, like the brothers didn't see that happening and be like,
But they could have thought that maybe because he was a
oh, a higher
higher up person,
Yeah,
that's
maybe.
why those.
Yeah, he had to be considered an Egyptian. So basically, when he adopted that position as second in command, they considered him Egyptian.
Oh, so they would have still sat with Joseph.
Correct. But he's kind
Oh,
of
okay.
putting himself above everything. So he's sitting at a table by himself, and he's got his Egyptian people here and the Hebrew people here. So he's kind of over everything.
Gotcha.
But then he takes food from his table and sends it to the Hebrews. So this is like an extension of I'm welcoming you to my home because I'm sending you
Right.
food from my table.
Mhm.
So he is welcoming his brother. And then you see that he sends 5 times as much portion to Benjamin.
Yeah, that's why I kind of had to laugh. I was like,
Could you
these poor
imagine?
guys, like-
He bringing just platters and platters of food, and then they just pile it on Benjamin's plate, right? And he's not a teenager, y'all. He's a young man. He's probably 20, 30, and he's just piling on food. He's like, go send him some more. Go send Benjamin some more food. And the other ones are looking around, and they realize that they're being sat in birth order. They were sat from oldest to youngest around the table. And only one other person would have known outside of their mothers and fathers, mothers and father,
Their age, yeah.
who would have been able to sit, because some of them are like being born right on top of each other, so they wouldn't have looked like they were 10 years apart. Some of them would have looked maybe closer to their own ages, or twins and stuff, and yet Joseph has sat them according to their birth order, and they're going, ooh, this is creepy, y'all. This is creepy, okay? So stuff is starting to
It scared
happen.
them, it terrified them,
Yes.
and I think God was working in their hearts at the same time
Mm-hmm.
for this to happen, and
Because they're worried, like, this is it, like, this is our last meal, he's feeding us really good, but then he's gonna execute us because.
Line us all up in birth order.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
This is odd. There's only a handful of people who know the birth order here, and this is very, very odd to them. Yeah. Okay. So Joseph's still keeping his identity hidden because he's not done yet. He's gonna set them up here to kind of test their integrity. Remember, because
Sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
My version says Simeon when you say Simon. There's interchangeable.
Simeon is more the correct. I probably was not speaking correctly.
Okay.
Simon is how we would have said it in the Greek, the New Testament. So Simeon is the
Okay.
Hebrew.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Simeon. Sorry, I'm
No,
probably thinking of
I-
Simon. Yeah, Simeon.
Doesn't matter to me. I knew who you were talking about.
Yes, Simeon. Sorry. Yeah, Simeon is their brother. Okay, so Joseph's keeping his identity hidden. Okay, but he's gonna test them because remember they're not telling full truths even to Jacob when he says, "Why did you tell them?" And he goes, "Well, this guy asked us these very specific questions that we would have never known what would be the result of all of this. That he asked us, did we have a father? He asked us if we had another brother. That's not what happened in the account. They gave off that information themselves.
Oh, he didn't really ask him?
Yeah, no. They said,
That was probably in last week's
we're
class.
really not spies. We're 12 brothers. So they gave that information to him.
Okay.
Yeah, but they
trying
tell
to
Dad.
justify themselves.
Yeah, they're trying to justify themselves. We
Okay.
had no idea that this guy was going to ask us all these questions. We had to be truthful.
Like a typical kid to a parent.
Yes. And these are grown men, y'all.
They could have said we
Grown
were
men.
11, they could have just
Yeah, they could have just said we're 11 and they said we're 12.
put one is no more.
Because where do they know? They know that Joseph is still alive. His father would have said they're 11 because to him, Joseph died. But they said, we're 12.
True.
I
didn't think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, but they didn't know what it
They didn't know what had happened to him, but they know he was alive when he left.
when they last saw him.
Yes. So they don't know what his end game was, but they knew that they gave him alive to the Ishmaelites. Yes. So it's very interesting that they give off that truth that we are one of 12. We are 12.
Could it be maybe that they had guilt, they had that guilt
Oh, yeah.
they were carrying with them all these years? That
Absolutely.
they had done something to
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
Because then they're watching their father grieve this
Yes.
death that never happened. And
it
they're
just keeps
carrying
building,
around the
it
guilt.
keeps- they
The
keep
guilt.
those years.
The guilt. And I cannot let Benjamin go with you because he's the only one left. And they know that's not true.
Right.
They know that Joseph is somewhere in the world.
But they don't know that he's alive, though.
No.
I mean, as far as they know, he could be dead.
He could have been dead, or he could have been a slave somewhere.
And they don't know that
Prison. They
they're
have no
sitting down
idea.
eating with
Yeah.
us.
But you hear the hope in their voice. We are 12.
Uh-huh.
So the hope is that he's alive somewhere. So you hear that guilt coming out.
Just
from
not
even
getting their
what they
portion
say.
of the family.
Yes, he's no longer here, but we are 12.
I was gonna say, is that hope also remorse?
Yeah,
Or hope
Yes,
that
I think
he was
so.
alive.
hope that he was
Yeah.
alive.
Mm-hmm.
That they did not send him to his death. That he is alive somewhere.
And
Okay?
that would have been also more of a consequence if he was dead,
Yes.
so.
Because they're the ones that handed him over.
Yes.
So you hear all of this in the way that they're saying things, in their tones, and the word choice that they use here. Okay. All right. So let's read the next chapter and find out the test. So this is going to be Joseph testing his brothers. He really wants to know what's going on in these men's hearts. Okay. So chapter 44. Then he commanded the steward of his house, fill the men's sacks with food as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his sack. And put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest, with his money for the grain. And he did as Joseph told him. As soon as morning was light, the men were sent away with their donkeys. They had gone only a short distance from the city. Now Joseph said to his steward, Up, follow after the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, Why have you repaid evil for good? Is it not from this that my Lord drinks, and by this that he practices divination? You have done evil in doing this.
Well, wait a second.
Do what?
Didn't he put it in?
Yeah.
And now they're accusing him of stealing it?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So he set him up.
He's setting them up.
Oh, okay.
It's a test.
They set him up.
Yes, it's true.
This is the cup. They sold him. All right, come on.
Yes, yes. You're on the right track. Yes, this is a setup. This is a deliberate setup. Okay, verse 6. When he overtook them, he spoke to them these words. So this is the steward. This is not Joseph. This is his steward. They said to him, Why does my Lord speak such words as these? Far be it from your servants to do such a thing. Behold, the money that we found in the mouths of our sack we brought back to you from the land of Canaan. How then shall we steal silver or gold from our Lord's house? Whichever of your servant is found with it shall die. We also will be our Lord's servants. He
That's
said,
dramatic.
Let it be as you have said. Whoever you find that cup in that man's sack, that man is to die, and we're going to be your slaves.
Reminds
If
me
it's
of the
found-
idols.
Yes. We're getting another mirror moment to the idols. Whoever you find the idol in, yeah, we're going to talk about the divination cup in a minute. All right, so verse 10, he said, Let it be as you have said. He who is found with it shall be my servant. The rest of you shall be innocent. Then each man quickly lowered his sack to the ground, and each man opened his sack. And he searched, beginning with the eldest and ending with the youngest. Could you imagine that moment of watching each sack be searched down the line, and their hearts are racing because they're getting down to Benjamin. And their hearts are pounding. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and every man loaded his donkey, and they returned to the city.
What does tearing their clothes have to do with it?
That's a sign of grief and mourning. You just, like, you can't do anything else, but they just rip their
Okay.
clothes in such grief.
Because
Okay.
they were responsible for it.
They're responsible for Benjamin, and now he's getting ready to die because
Okay.
the cup was found in his sack.
Yeah.
And they said, whoever you find with the cup is gonna die. So now they've sold another brother into death. Into slavery and death. They've sold their other brother. Verse 14. When Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, he was still there. They fell before him to the ground. Joseph said to them, "What deed is this that you have done? Do you not know that a man like me can indeed practice divination?" And Judah said, "What shall we say to my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how can we clear ourselves? God has found out the guilt of your servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he also in whose hand the cup has been found." But he said, "Far be it from me that I should do so. Only the man in whose hand the cup was found shall be my servant. But as for you, go in peace to your father." So what is he testing them?
He's testing them to see if
If
they
they'll
really,
abandon
if they
Benjamin.
really be
Abandon.
faithful to
Yes.
Benjamin.
Yes. Are they going to abandon Benjamin like they did him? This is one of the tests that he's trying to test. Are they going to leave Benjamin behind? Okay.
Wait, who's testing? Time, rewind.
Joseph is testing the
Joseph's
brothers to
testing
see if
his
they'll leave
brothers.
Benjamin behind or if they'll plead for him.
They left him
I mean,
behind.
this is they
sold
hopped on their
him off.
donkeys and went away.
They went back to the city where Joseph was.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
they're
they
all
turn around and
Yeah,
go
so
back.
they
They
go
all
back
turn
when
around.
they
They all
found
go
it.
back to Egypt, and they go back to Joseph's house, and they're trying to plead with his servant. We didn't know any of this. We would never do this.
Okay.
So verse 18. Then Judah went up to him and said, "O my Lord, please let your servant speak a word in my Lord's ears, and let not your anger burn against your servant. For you are like Pharaoh himself." The Lord asked his servant, saying, "Have you a father or brother?" And we said to my Lord, "We have a father, an old man and a young brother, the child of his old age. Our brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him." Then he said to Then you said
Oh,
to
so
your
they're
servant-
saying that Joseph is dead.
Joseph's dead.
Yeah, they think that because that's the story they told. So
That's what
they're
they were
hanging
told?
on to. That's what they told their father.
Yeah,
That's
they
the
brought
story
back the
they sold their
coat.
father. The coat dipped in the goat's blood, and they told Joseph that, or told Jacob that Joseph had died.
Okay.
Okay, so they're selling the same story to him. Even
To
they
him standing there, to the
He's
dead
standing
guy.
there.
Okay.
Joseph, the dead guy.
Okay.
Joseph, the brother they sold into slavery. They're going, no, no, no. See what had happened was. Yeah. Then you said to your servants, "Bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes upon him." Verse 22. When we said to my Lord, "The boy cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die." Then you said to your servants, "Unless your younger brother comes down with you, you shall not see my face again." When we went back to your servant, my father, we told him the words of my Lord. And when our father said, "Go again, buy us a little food," we said, "We cannot go down. For if our youngest brother goes with us, then we will go down. For we cannot see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us." Then your servant, my father, said to us, "You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One left me, and I said, 'Surely he has been torn to pieces.' And I have never seen him since. If you take this one also from me, and harm happens to him, you will bring down my gray hairs into evil to Sheol." Okay, so remember, they're talking to Joseph.
They're telling Joseph what the
They're
father
telling
said to
Joseph
them
what his father said.
before they left to go back
Yes.
with Benjamin.
Yes. Okay. So they told this lie that they believed that his father was torn to pieces, or that Jacob believed that Joseph was torn to pieces, and he's standing right there listening to them. So verse 30. "Now therefore, as soon as I came to your servant my father, and the boy is not with us, then as his life is bound up in the boy's life, as soon as he sees that the boy is not with us, he will die. And your servants will bring down the gray hairs of your servant our father with sorrow to Sheol. For your servant became a pledge of safety for the boy to my father, saying, 'If I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father all my life. Now therefore please let your servant remain instead of the boy as a servant to my Lord, and let the boy go back with his brothers. For how can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? I fear to see the evil that would find my father. So this is Judah speaking.
I need you to go to 45. It says
I
he
know,
reveals
it says
himself.
it reveals his identity.
Yeah.
Why did we stop?
But you gotta wait till next week.
You got to wait till
You
next
have to be
week.
here next week.
I'm like,
We gotta have Bible out at church. We're just gonna read 45 and let her interpret it next.
I was like,
See,
why
I
are
love
we
that. You
stopping?
want to come back. You want to study more of the Bible. I love that. Okay.
Was Judah the oldest?
No, Judah's not the oldest.
I was gonna say, I don't remember that, but he's the spokesman.
I know.
He has become the spokesman now.
Reuben
And
is the
remember,
oldest.
he's also dealing with the guilt of his whole drama situation, going on, and he's the one who's speaking up. But he's fourth in line. I think he's fourth
Yeah,
in
So it
line.
was Reuben.
Reuben, Simeon. I'd have to go back and count. He's either third or fourth in line. But we see the other ones are not the ones stepping up. Reuben wanted to give his sons' lives. Judah's willing to give his own. Okay? So, Joseph is testing his brothers. Okay? He orchestrates this final test by planting a silver cup in Benjamin's sack. But this isn't just any silver cup. Okay? This was a divination cup of the position. Okay? So, we're talking about the difference between the man and the position. Okay? So, second in all of Egypt would have had to have a way to speak to the gods, to divine their will in order to give Pharaoh advice. Okay? One of the ways that they did that was these special divination cups. So you would have this one special cup, and they would fill it up with water, and then they would drop in either precious stones or pieces of silver with markings on it. And then as they dropped it in, they would read the ripples, and then they would read the pieces which part markings would be face up. So this was like an ancient magic 8-ball. Okay? And then they would peer in, and they would read the ripples, and they would read the symbols on the pieces of silver or the precious stones, and then they would interpret and give advice to Pharaoh. Okay? So Joseph is using this to kind of test his brothers. Okay? He took that cup that he is not using for divination because he doesn't need it in order to talk to God and to interpret dreams and visions and things like that. But it is attached to his position of power. Okay? He takes that and he hides it in, and has the servant hide it in Benjamin's sack. Okay? It would then appear that if they were the ones taking it, they were trying to take the power of Egypt and the ability to interpret the divine nature.
Would they have known the significance of that cup?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was tied to that position in Egypt. Yeah.
But the brothers.
The brothers would have known about it. Yeah. Back then, you knew about other religions and the people that surrounded you. You had to survive. Yeah. Because you didn't want to disrespect the other people. So he set up this test as a way of, they're not only spies, they're here to take my power, they're here to take the position, they're here to take the ability to divine inspiration and things like that, okay? So that is why Joseph uses this cup. He didn't just like grab a cup off of his table and be like, oh yeah, they stole something from me. They're literally, he's setting it up as if they stole power from him, okay? So Judah is the one that steps forward, and we see he is now the spokesperson of this family, even though he has zero right to. He's not the oldest. He's dealing with his own drama in situations, but he is the one who steps forward. And we will see that that becomes a big, huge deal later on of why Judah is blessed later on ahead of his brothers because of this moment right here. Okay?
I have to go get the kids because I have to be able to get them back over here.
That's fine.
Sorry.
You go ahead. No, you go ahead. Okay, so Judah's willing to step forward as a substitute to spare Benjamin. He then pleads, you let Benjamin go back with his brothers and you can keep me and you can do whatever you want with me. Because if I go back without Benjamin, then my father is going to die. Okay, that's what he's telling Joseph, that if I could return and he's not with me, then Jacob's going to die. Okay, so he's even more raising the stakes here. So we have this moment of change in these brothers. Not only were they all willing to go back and deal with this situation, they're not willing to leave without Benjamin. And it's Judah that's the one that steps up.
Because they've seen the grief
Yes,
that his father had
absolutely.
for Joseph.
Yes.
And
then
he
you
never,
know he can't take it.
yeah,
do it
and
again.
He loses
the way I
Benjamin.
read it, he's never recovered from that.
Correct. And if something happens to Benjamin, he's not going to be able to take it.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to lose all three. So he's already lost Rachel, he's lost Joseph. If he loses Benjamin, he's not going to be able to take it.
Benjamin must have led a very sheltered.
Yes. Yes, he does lead a
Life.
very sheltered life. Okay, so one of the remarkable things is that when we compare Joseph's life to Jesus, we see these very interesting comparisons. Okay, so let me give you some. Joseph was a shepherd, loved by his father, hated and rejected by his brothers. He prophesied his own coming glory and was rejected by his brothers. He endured unjust punishment from his brothers. He was condemned, even though a leader thought that he should go free. He was sold for slavery for pieces of silver and handed over to the Gentiles. He was regarded as dead, but was raised up. He went to Egypt. He was tempted severely, but did not sin. He was falsely accused, yet made no defense for himself. Joseph was cast into prison and numbered with sinners and criminals. He endured unjust punishment from Gentiles. He was associated with 2 other criminals. One criminal was pardoned, and one criminal was not. He was shown to have divine wisdom and recognized as having the Spirit of God. He was honored among Gentiles, while still despised by his brothers. He was even given a Gentile bride. He was 30 years old when he began his life's work and blessed the world with bread. He gave his brothers a way of deliverance through substitution and the use of a symbolic cup of condemnation and redemption. And he was revealed as a man of compassion, deep and moving compassion, and would make preparations to bring a Jew and Gentile together to save them both.
Wow, very good.